All right, so one of the big trailers to drop from Comic-Con is the Watchmen official trailer for HBO, the Watchmen television series. And instead of doing a reaction to it, I thought I'd just break it down, point out some of the stuff I've noticed, and also point out some of the things that are not looking good about the show. Let's just say that. I think if you're a big fan of the Watchmen book and you're a big fan of the Zack Snyder Watchmen film, I don't think this show's for you, right? I don't think they're targeting those people like me that, love the Alan Moore book and love the Zack Snyder film. The definitive Watchmen adaptation, I think they're going a completely different direction. They're trying to make it new and fresh and almost forgetting about anything that came before. But let's just get to the trailer and I'll start pointing out things that I'm noticing.
This is a stick-up!
All right, so first look at Hooded Justice. As we'll see later in the trailer, this is just a TV show version of Hooded Justice. And in the Watchmen books, he's in the original Minutemen team with the original Night Owl and the Comedian and Silk Spectre and all of them. And good on the TV show of Watchmen for getting his costume exactly right. This looks just like the comic books. This looks just like Zack Snyder's film. Looks identical in every way. Loving it to death. But as we'll see, this is just a TV show that a character is watching. This is not like the actual Hooded Justice. Because as we see later in this trailer, superheroes have become a part of pop culture like they are now. And people romanticize the past. And I imagine that's what's happening right now with Hooded Justice.
Who are you?
Who am I? If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be wearing a mask.
All right, now we get the first shot of this new character who's not in the books, not in the movie, not in the Before Watchmen series. This is a completely new character for the show, and he's eating what looks like beans out of a can, just like Rorschach did in the book and also the movie. So I think that's a nice callback to Rorschach. And as you could tell by the guy's face, he does look a little older. Now, I don't think this is going to be Rorschach, an older version of Rorschach, because in the book and in the movie, Rorschach gets killed by Dr. Manhattan to hide the truth of what really happened. But, since this show is changing so much, since they're going a completely new direction, they could have completely scrapped all of that, and this could be an old version of Rorschach. Who knows? It seems like a very similar version, right? Because he's sitting in his house. He's still wearing his mask, just like Rorschach is. How Rorschach's not comfortable without his mask. This guy's the same way. And he's eating beans out of a can without heating them up or anything, just like Rorschach. So there's some similarities there. And he's also the same stature. So I'm thinking this is the new version of Rorschach, if not the same Rorschach older. So who knows what direction they're going with. I don't know what year this show is taking place in. I know it's taking place after the 80s. I don't know if it's in the 2000s or late 2000s. I don't know. But that's my wild guess theory as to who this character could be. It could be Rorschach, or it just could be a new version of Rorschach entirely. Or just a new character to take the Rorschach role in this story. But continuing.
There are people who believe that this world is fair and good.
And right here we see the American hero story, Minutemen. Comedy begets tragedy. A lot like Under the Hood, the book written by the original Night Owl in the Watchmen book. So it looks like people are capitalizing on the story of the heroes and stuff like that still. I wonder if they're even going to mention Under the Hood, if they really scrapped that entirely. But what it looks like, the two characters on this poster, I think that's the comedian on the left, because he has a little bit of a mustache and he has the comedian mask over his eyes. But I can't quite tell who's on the right side. It looks like a red cap. It could be a night owl. It could be Dollar Bill, because this is a story about the Minutemen, so it's got to be a Minutemen member. But that's cool that they cast younger versions of these characters. So we might get some flashback scenes to the actual Minutemen of the 50s, which would be a nice little nod to the book, which they desperately need in this show, because I feel like there isn't enough of that in the show. And I feel like it's too different from Watchmen to be even considered a Watchmen story. But let's continue. Oh, in this shot, it looks like there's a hybrid in the shot. So this is definitely taking place in the 2000s, late 2000s. might even be taking place present day. But as you also see the bus on the left, that is Hooded Justice. So from the shot earlier, we could probably say that might be Hooded Justice, or it might not be, who knows. But it looks like whatever this story is they're talking about with the Minutemen is becoming super popular. Big advertising push for this Minutemen documentary show or TV show, whatever. Or maybe it's a movie series, right? Like the Avengers of this world. And right here we get a newspaper. Veidt officially declared dead. So that's really interesting because I was under the impression that Jeremy Irons was playing Adrian Veidt. So who's playing Ozymandias? Is he in this show? Is Jeremy Irons a different character? Or did Ozymandias fake his death and Jeremy Irons is still playing Ozymandias? Who knows? But this is really interesting that in this world, Veidt is dead. The guy who caused all the havoc at the end of Watchmen, the guy who killed millions of people, the true villain of Watchmen, is dead at the start of the show. So I guess this show has a lot of explaining to do.
It's all lollipops and rainbows.
And right here we see a shot of Dr. Manhattan looking like he's being celebrated here. And it looks like people are fans of his. Now, this is the part of the trailer where it starts to go off the rails. 25 seconds in, and I feel like the people that made this TV show have never read the Watchmen book, and they've never seen the Zack Snyder Watchmen movie, and they have no idea what happened with Dr. Manhattan's character. Because at the end of Watchmen, the book and the movie, Dr. Manhattan leaves Earth. And in the Zack Snyder movie, he leaves Earth because Ozymandias has framed him, making it look like he killed all those millions of people. So the whole world unites in an effort to fight Dr. Manhattan, and it creates a world peace that lasts for good, supposedly. But it looks like they're celebrating him here, so that version of Dr. Manhattan did not happen in this universe. He wasn't framed for the murders of millions, and he didn't go that far from Earth. As we learn later in the trailer, he's only sitting on Mars. So that's extremely disappointing that they went that route. Personally, to me, I've read the Watchmen book, and I think Zack Snyder did the ending better. And having Dr. Manhattan take the fall for Adrian Veidt's plan makes perfect sense. And it's a lot less convoluted than a giant squid monster that just shows up in New York City, The Zack Snyder Watchmen movie did the ending better. But it looks like in this TV show, they've completely ignored that. And we're going to get probably a giant squid in this show at some point. So can't wait for that.
We don't do lollipops and rainbows.
And I thought this was Ozymandias, the rich guy played by Jeremy Irons. I thought this was Ozzy. But apparently, Adrian Veidt's dead. So this can't be him unless he faked his death. Who knows? I was really looking forward to an older version of Ozymandias, so I hope we get something like that. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen, though.
We know those are pretty colors that just hide what the world really is. Black and white.
And these are the new characters. She's talking to her daughter about the world being black and white and stuff. And, I don't think that's a great message to send to somebody because there's a lot of gray. And I think that's the whole point of the Watchmen story is that nothing is black and white. And Alan Moore wrote Watchmen because he thought it was comical that all superhero books and graphic novels were all black and white. The heroes were always right. The villains were always wrong. Alan Moore thought that was ridiculous. That's why he made Watchmen. And I have the main characters in this show believing that. So I wonder if this show is going to take this character from going, oh, everything's black and white, to no, there's a bunch of moral grays. Nobody's truly right and nobody's truly wrong. So I hope that's the direction they're going. I think that character arc will make sense for this character. But if this character just stays the same the whole series, oh, everything's black and white, there's no rainbows or lollipops, everything's black and white. If it's just like that the whole series, they've failed on so many levels because clearly that's the character arc for them. And if they don't change her character, then they've completely missed the point of Watchmen. So, this show has a lot of explaining to do. But anyway, let's keep going.
Soon thou shalt save us, and we will whisper.
All right, so we see the Rorschach mob here, the Rorschach secret society, and they do the Rorschach line from, the book and the movie. All the whores and politicians will look up and shout, save us. And I'll whisper no. They changed the no to talk, which is kind of stupid. I don't like this whole TikTok thing that the Watchmen clan is doing. It's really corny. It doesn't have nearly the impact that no does. Let's just compare it real quick.
The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up around their waists. And all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "No."
Soon thou shalt save us, and we will whisper, "No."
Yeah, as you see, not quite the same. Doesn't strike a good chord to me. I'm not liking the direction they're going so far. And I don't like how they're making this Rorschach clan seem like just a bunch of crazy rednecks. I'm not liking that at all. Because the show is kind of making them out to be clan members, essentially. And I don't like that idea. Of course, the Rorschach from the book and the movie, we know he's probably like a right-leaning individual. You know, he's probably more Republican than Democrat, you know. You know, Rorschach, he's racist, he's homophobic, he's all that stuff. But as we all know, Rorschach has an obsession with justice. Now, of course, he doesn't really care who he hurts. As long as he sees justice in what he's doing, he's going to do it, right?
Justice matters. Justice.
Well, it seems like this clan has something against the authorities. They don't like cops. They're trying to take down the system and everything. And, you know, Rorschach, he doesn't like cops either, but he's not trying to destroy society. He already sees society as broken and there's no use in saving it. All he cares about is protecting innocent people. And as we see later in this trailer, this Rorschach clan goes after cops. They start killing cops. And all I'm thinking is that, you know, not every cop deserves to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because they're cops. So it seems like this Rorschach clan is missing the point of Rorschach. And they just like his mask. That's essentially their purpose in this show.
We convinced ourselves that they were gone, but they were just hibernating.
All right, so this guy says they were just hibernating. So apparently this clan of Rorschachs sprung up. I don't know at what point, because it seems like they're ignoring the book and the movie. So, you know, I would assume they sprung up because Rorschach's journal leaked out. But I don't know if they're doing that. It seems like they've been a group this whole time. But I would hope that would be the case, that they read Rorschach's journal, and that's why this clan has started, this mythology of Rorschach started, and why he has all these followers doing this work on his behalf.
They came for everybody.
And that's a cool little touch. The clock striking midnight, cool little nod to everything in Watchmen, you know. The clock's always a big important thing with Watchmen. And when the clock strikes midnight, that usually means doomsday. It's a big symbol throughout the book. I think every book ends with you seeing the clock at a time that's closer to midnight, you know. And in this show, they're going to start with the clock striking midnight. So I know it's cool nod. It is. But it's almost like, well, why wouldn't you have that running throughout the whole series, you know? The clock is getting closer to midnight, you know? It seems like such an easy thing to do, and they're like, let's just blow our load in the first episode with the clock striking midnight. Let's just use that visual motif right now and not save it. They're going to have to use this motif several times, probably. And it's going to get really annoying and boring. So, a cool nod, but I don't understand why you would do it this early. You know, like, why would you just blow your load in the first episode? But that's just like a personal thing for me. I would not have done this visual motif this early in the show. But anyway, keep going.
Oh, please.
Coordinated. So the Rorschach men are killing all the cops. But this is a cool little American flag right here. And I believe there's 51 stars on it. I could be wrong. I just counted it real quick. There could be like more than 51, but as we know from the Watchmen book and movie, there's 51 states. Vietnam is America's 51st state. So at least they kept that, but they've completely changed the American flag for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you would change the flag entirely. I don't think that would happen in an alternate reality. I think they would just add another star onto the flag. I don't think they would change the whole fucking flag. But maybe they'll explain why it's a circle. Maybe it has something to do with the world being united in a peace, if that's even happening, because I don't think that's happening, because the Rorschach guys are causing havoc, so clearly things are not peaceful, and Adrian Veidt's plan has not worked, and Dr. Manhattan is seen as a good guy, so I don't know what's going on with the show, but yeah.
Simultaneous attack.
And a famous shot of the angel statue, which is also in the Watchmen film, which is one of the best shots of that film, when you had the slow pan out from the statue through an impossible angle and stuff. So I guess this is a little nod to Zack Snyder's Watchmen film, this statue.
Attacks at the homes of Tulsa PD. So the cops hide their faces, and now the bad guys don't know where they live.
I am happy that they explained why the cops are wearing masks so that they can hide the cops' identities from the terrorists, the Rorschach terrorists that are just breaking into their houses and killing them. So, that makes sense. But still, I like to think of the Watchmen book and the movie as being very grounded and realistic. And I really don't think that would happen in real life. I don't think if the police were being attacked on a daily basis that they would hide their identities. I don't think that would be an option. Because if cops have their autonomy, then they could get away with anything, really, couldn't they? If nobody knows what cop is the troublemaker, then cops could really do anything to anybody. As if they already don't abuse their power already in most situations. They would definitely abuse their power way more with masks on. So I don't think, maybe the showrunners aren't thinking it through, but once again, it makes sense, but it's just something that's not vibing with me. Anyway.
And who doesn't want a secret identity?
And as you see right here in the background, there's an American flag that looks just like the American flag that we know today. So that also makes me kind of confused why we had a completely different flag for that burial scene just moments ago. So I don't know, like, is there going to be a consistency of the show that already has me worried about the consistency? But yeah. All right, she makes some eggs into a smiley face on the plate for these kids, and the teacher gives her, like, a dirty look. I don't know what's going on in this scene. I don't understand why this teacher has such a bitch face. I don't understand why this teacher has such a dirty look right now. I guess we'll find that out. And also, if you look behind the teacher's head, you see George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Richard Nixon, and Robert Redford. That's an awesome nod to the Watchmen graphic novel, because one of the last lines in the book is the newspaper guy talking about how ridiculous it would be for a cowboy to be in the White House. And the cowboy they're referring to is Robert Redford, because the Watchmen book was written before Ronald Reagan became president. And of course, in the Watchmen movie, Zack Snyder made that correction. Now it's like timeless and extra funny, because when you hear it in the movie, you hear the guy says, we could run a piece about Ronald Reagan running for president. And he's like, that's ridiculous. Who wants a cowboy in the White House? That makes so much more sense now. It's a lot more funnier. And it really gets me questioning, like, what are they doing with this show? Is this a sequel to the Watchmen book? Or are they just cherry picking just little parts of Watchmen and putting those little Easter eggs in the show to trick hardcore fans like me into liking it, right? But you're going to have to do a lot more than put some Easter eggs in there for me to love the show.
People who wear masks are dangerous. We should be scared of them.
Why?
Because they're hiding something.
All right, so as we see here, we're in a warehouse. They're talking about people that wear masks are dangerous, but all the cops are wearing masks, so that's kind of confusing your kid right now. You're telling your kid that anybody that wears a mask is dangerous, but now all the cops are wearing masks, so all the cops are dangerous now. And looks like they're about to execute some of these Watchmen prisoners they've captured. So I don't know if they're going to go that dark, but that'd be pretty cool to see. And it also begs the question, is America a totalitarian government right now that just executes civilians without trials? Is that what happens now in this world? Kind of a stretch from the Watchmen book.
Lori Blake, FBI. You know how you can tell the difference between a masked cop and a vigilante?
No.
Me neither.
There's a vast and insidious conspiracy at play.
All right, so some great David Bowie music's happening. One of my favorite David Bowie songs, Life on Mars, is kicking in. So they're trying everything to get my goddamn viewership. And they probably already have it. You know, I'm a huge sucker for Watchmen anyway, so I'm probably going to watch it anyway, even if I don't like it. But as you see here, we have the Black Freighter flag again, and some guy on a horse. I can't tell who's on the horse. And there's a lot of boring dialogue. Kind of like wasn't paying attention for like the last few seconds there. But let's see what else this trailer has to offer. And we have a shot here of everybody dead at a carnival. I don't know what the fuck's happening here. Very confused what all this is about. Is this a flashback to Dr. Manhattan's, or I'm sorry, the giant squid monster killing everybody? Or is this the Joker that's entered this Watchmen world? I know they have to try to fit Joker into everything related to DC. If it has a DC logo on it, you gotta squeeze Joker in it somehow. I don't know what the fuck this is all about. But looks cool, I guess. I don't understand why the production value on this show is so low. You know, I don't understand why it's like they didn't invest any money in the show. Probably because they didn't have much faith in it. There's this show I'm watching right now called The Terror that's on AMC. And the production values on that show are immensely better than this show. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because usually HBO has the best production values. But like right where I'm watching right now, this doesn't look very visually appealing. It looks pretty bland, actually. It almost looks like a cable TV show. Like something you would see on TNT. But anyway, I'm interested to see how all these people died. Continuing.
Who are you?
Maybe, I'm Dr. Manhattan.
He lives on fucking Mars.
You curse too much.
And that guy is definitely not Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is not Martian Manhunter. He doesn't change into a human form. Dr. Manhattan is always in his Dr. Manhattan form. So this guy's lying. I don't know why he's lying. And she replies, he's on fucking Mars. Meanwhile, the David Bowie song is singing Is There Life on Mars? So could they get any more on the nose? I don't know. You have a David Bowie song called Life on Mars. You have a main character saying he's on fucking Mars. What's the next shot? Are they going to show Dr. Manhattan on Mars? Yep, that's exactly what they did. They showed Dr. Manhattan on Mars. And if you didn't get the idea, Dr. Manhattan's living on Mars. I don't know if you could understand that from the last few seconds here, but he's on Mars and he's building sandcastles that don't look that impressive at all. Why did Dr. Manhattan lose his creativity in this world or something? Like, why does this a castle thing look unremarkable? Like, why? I don't know. Like, the giant clock thing that he made in the Watchmen movie was amazing. The thing that was in the comics, it was like this castle, glass castle thing, also looked amazing. But this looks like a fucking sandcastle that he would make on a beach. But, like, I hate to nitpick like that, but it's just, I don't know. You could kind of tell they're using the same type of CG, though, for Dr. Manhattan that they used for the movie. So maybe that's where all the production value and production budget is going. It might be just going to Dr. Manhattan's CGI work. Who knows? Moving on. And we have this guy here on a megaphone. Some cop covering his face in a very uninspired costume. Keep going. And our first shot of Archimedes.
In the Millennium Falcon, don't they push it forward?
Yeah, they do. But that's fine. They're.
You want to do
that's
a nod
fake.
to that? Or you
I want to see far. That's fake.
I don't know.
We're doing this is real, so it's different.
It looks different than the comic book and the movie. They've added some extensions on the side. And is Nightwing in this show?
Possible homosexual. Must investigate further.
Is he flying Archimedes? That would only make sense. Let's see who's flying Archimedes. And it's the cowboy dude. That's a cop. He's flying Archimedes.
I don't like it. It don't sit too well with me. It don't work. Quite frankly, very honestly, flat out, it sucks.
I'm so confused by everything in this trailer, by everything in this show. I have no idea what's happening. I feel like I've never seen Watchmen before. Like they're showing me shit that has nothing to do with Watchmen. They're taking things that look like Watchmen and making their own thing with it, which is ridiculous. I thought we were past this stage in Hollywood where they would just take the skin of the comic books and just make some bullshit with it, because that's what they did with the original Superman movies. That's what they did with the 90s Batman films. And I thought we were past that stage. I thought, we were starting to take comic books seriously. Graphic novels. The Watchmen book is on the New York Times top 100 best books of all time. Watchmen. It's considered one of the best books of all time. And you're just going to throw it all away. You're going to take the bits you like and you're going to completely retcon everything. I mean, it's kind of disrespectful in my book. There are so many great graphic novels that are out there that are yet to get adaptations that's true to the book. There's only a few that have done it, and one of them is the Watchmen movie directed by Zack Snyder. That's one of the greatest adaptations you'll see of any book of all time. Of course, he did the same thing with 300, which is also an excellent adaptation, but also Robert Rodriguez's Sin City was an excellent adaptation because the stories are there, The greatest stories of all time have been written in graphic novels. And the reason we don't see them adapted is because the people making these TV shows and movies think that comic books are just funny books for kids. They don't take them seriously. They don't see them as literature. And it's a huge stigma that's still on the comic book industry. And in order for us to get great adaptations, we have to go to animated films like The Dark Knight Returns and stuff that pretty much copy the book word for word, frame for frame. That's all I want from my graphic novels. I want what's in the book on the goddamn screen. And with this Watchmen TV show, you had the entire Watchmen graphic novel, you had all of the before Watchmen books, and you had the new fucking Doomsday Clock story arc, right? You have all this Watchmen material to work with, and you're just going to make something new that has nothing to do with anything, and it's not going to tie into anything, and it kind of loses its meaning, and they're just going to cherry pick the best parts for the book, and they're just going to go that way. I'm just not liking it at all. And seeing a random driving Archimedes just puts a horrible taste in my mouth. But continuing.
Oh, shit.
And that guy was right earlier. She really needs to stop cussing. She's cussed too much in this trailer so far. I mean, she almost sounds like a fucking YouTuber right now. A funny Richard Nixon statue. That kind of made me chuckle. And right here, we look like we're in some kind of British court, because British courts are the only places I know that use powdered wigs still. I don't believe this could possibly be America, but it could. Who knows? But if you look on the bottom right, you see the squid monster from the end of the Watchmen book, or their version of the squid monster. And that's the version, that's the ending of Watchmen they're going with. So it's pretty much official. They're completely ignoring Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie. They're pretending like it never happened, which is completely disappointing because the ending that he came up with is by far way superior. It's not hokey, it's grounded, and it makes the end real cathartic when Dr. Manhattan has to kill Rorschach to cover up the truth. Of course, it was the same way in the book, but in the movie, it's even more cathartic because Dr. Manhattan is taking the blame for it. And he's knowingly taking the blame for it. And he's killing Rorschach to save billions of people. And that's where the morally gray aspect of Watchmen comes in. Do you kill a few people to save many people? That's where the morality of Watchmen comes from. It's very gray. But in this world, they have the giant squid monster as the bad guy. It's what the whole world blames for the tragic events that happened at the end of Watchmen. And it opens the door for Dr. Manhattan to come back to Earth and be loved and celebrated by the people. You have Jeremy Irons here blowing up something. I don't know if he's Ozymandias. I don't know what he's blowing up. You got a new character here. I don't know who they are. They have a gun. I don't know if it's another night owl. I don't know who the fuck it is. I don't know if they're robbing a bank. I don't know what they're doing. You have some pigs here. I don't know if this is like a nod to Animal Farm or something, because it's clear Alan Moore was inspired by George Orwell in some way. But I don't know. I don't know what all these pigs have to do with anything. I don't know, pigs being led to the slaughter. I don't know. They have some kind of fucking surface level messaging happening right now. But yeah, let's keep going. Now, when I first saw this shot, I thought it was crows, but now that I paused it, it's looking like squids. It's looking like a bunch of little squids or something, which I guess has something to do with the squid monster at the end of Watchmen. I don't know. It looks like they're falling out of the sky. I don't know exactly what's happening with this shot. But yeah, they're definitely going the squid route. I don't know why. That was like the most annoying part of the fucking book. That the book was taking everything so seriously and everything was so grounded and real, and then all of a sudden you have a giant squid. And it kind of felt like Alan Moore was like, all right, we have to put something comic booky in here, or else people aren't going to know it's a comic book. And it's not like I hate squids. You know, I don't mind squids when they're in a Lovecraft story, but they didn't need to be in Watchmen. It was a great thing that Zack Snyder took it out. But yeah, I just keep hitting a dead horse here. Let's keep going.
It's only just begun.
It's only just begun. I don't know what's just begun. The downfall of comic book genre. Yeah, that's begun. The show, I mean, yeah, it's just begun for a full season until it gets canceled, of course, because there's no way this thing's getting picked up for more than one season. I'm calling it right now. Yeah, let's finish this amazing trailer. Blue Hand! It's Dr. Manhattan! Yay! It looks like he's wearing a blue glove. I don't know if this is Dr. Manhattan. I don't think it is. I think it's just a guy wearing a blue glove. But I guess it is. If that's CG, that looks horrendous. Yeah, so they have a Dr. Manhattan here at what looks like the fairgrounds where we saw all those people dead earlier. So maybe they're trying to blame Dr. Manhattan for that. Or maybe he's come to save the day, but he's too late. And he's picking up his mask that looks just like him. He's going to put over his face so that people can't recognize him, I imagine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very disappointed by this trailer, if you couldn't tell. What do y'all think of that trailer? I'm very disappointed. They are not staying true to anything. They're making up a completely new IP that just happens to have the Watchmen name on it because Hollywood and creators can't create anything these days unless it's an already proven property. That's all we get now is sequels, reboots, remakes, or prequels. And it looks like this show is going to be a sequel / reimagining of Watchmen, where they're not going to stay true to the book because they figure not many people have read the book, so they could do whatever the fuck they want. And since nobody cared about the Watchmen movie, they're not going to ignore that entirely. They're going to ignore that entirely, and they don't give a fuck about that either. And they're just going to put minimal effort in the production design. It's clear HBO doesn't have a whole lot of faith in this show, just by the way it looks. I'm telling you, this show just doesn't, aesthetically, it doesn't look that good. If you want a good-looking show, go watch The Terror on AMC. That's a really good-looking show. If you want a Watchmen experience, go read the fucking book. Or watch the goddamn motion comic that's 5 hours long of Watchmen. That's excellent. And it was produced by Zack Snyder. So we can all thank Zack Snyder for that as well. And if you're still hungry for Watchmen after reading the book and watching the motion comic, then watch the ultimate cut of Watchmen, directed by Zack Snyder. It's 3.5 hours long, and you'll fucking love it if you like the book. And if you're still hungry for more Watchmen after that, go read Before Watchmen. That's a great graphic novel series that they did. And if you're still hungry for more Watchmen, you have the Doomsday Clock storyline. That's very new. And if you're still hungry for Watchmen after that, then I guess you can watch this TV show. I would wait until, it gets canceled, and then you can watch it. I'm not wishing for the show to get canceled, but I'm kind of wishing for the show to get canceled. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll see you all in the next one. Hope you enjoyed the trailer breakdown. Oh boy, what a piece of shit. Anyway, that's it for now. Bye-bye.
Possible homosexual. Must investigate further. Only 2 names remain on my list.